What's up everybody, Murtak here, and today's video I'm going to show you a little of the testing of Gahun in Heroic. I really like this encounter compared to the other of the raid, which are really cool I have to say, but this one I really have preferred. The only bad note that I have to say in this encounter is the room. It's very bland. I don't like it. I would have liked something more like we saw with Cthulhu and Yoxaron, with some titanic things in the room. What is instead here is just a spider cave, and just like we are going to fight this big slug, like it's just a normal beast, while instead it is an old god. I was expecting a bit more of the room of it. But even with this bad note, I really liked the encounter. With this hour of testing, Marade was able to transition the boss into the secondary phase. Because the fight has three phases, and a small part of the ride needs to go up from these two ramps and deal with the matrix mechanic, which is basically a light basketball. This is really important because this allows us to transition to phase 1 to phase 2, and it also mechanic of phase now mechanics ongoing during the secondary phase of the fight. So as you can see, those creatures close to the boss are not trash. They are part of the boss, and we learned that at first pull. And basically, for the first phase, the Khun will be well hidden inside his cave. He has a buff that basically it will heal 5% of his health every 0.5 seconds. So just don't bother at DPS the boss. And basically you will have to survive fighting these waves of tentacles, monster, and whatsoever you would call, while the smaller group of the raid will go upstairs and pass to with with them this matrix that will appear, and they have to place it in the origination matrix. They basically will stun and deal AoE damage to everyone in the room, but also it will be place a debuff on every creature's enemies, of course. They will take 100% more damage. The first time you do that, Guhun will come out from his cave. So it is the start of phase 2. So this we started with, of course, with Bloodlust at the start, because we try to want to see much more as possible. So this let's start with the smaller ads, because there was the ones that give us more problem at the start, because they does do this corruption dot smile plate that plays stacking damage debuff. So basically at 4 stack it was able to easily one shot a cloth dealer. When it casts 1000 moves, it will call more ads. We have the Dark Young that needs to be tanked, and they will do good damage on the tanks, but also they will do a small AoE close to them. And then we have Unstable Corruption. Unstable Corruption, these mechanics will be present during the whole fight. Basically, you will have this debuff that when it expires, you will create this small white pool. But what is more problematic is that after we will basically also create these 5 white balls that will travel around the room, and if someone will get hit by them, it will take another new Unstable Corruption. Then there is as you can see, during this of the second cast of 1000 moves, they will call this white tentacle that basically will needs to be tanked, otherwise it will do AoE damage on the war raid. He has energy, and when this energy goes reach 0, it will burn himself and reach and move to another point of the room. And this pretty much phase one. Seems similar, but the damage were really high. You need to interrupt every ad because if it keeps doing that that beam, it will be really problematic. So you can see it get stuck. I get stable corruption, so I placed it in me myself in order to at least 3 balls will go through to reach the other room in the area. And now the player upstairs managed to empower the matrix energy to 10%, to 100%. As you can see, they decided to stack up in order to place a Spirulink totem or other healing buffs in order to survive, because we also take damage from it. At this point, the boss will come out. Phase 2 is basically, as I said, the cyber corruption will be still present. It does an AoE damage that plays a physical debuff and we stack up. The Matrix is involved to remove this debuff, but we never managed to do that because the boss have also mechanic like Odin that increases its damage every time it hits the same target. And even with tanks, switching the boss at the cooldowns of taunt, they were always melted by him. Really. And it was, I don't have word to describe it, it was really a joke. Even with all the cooldowns active, we didn't manage to keep the tanks alive. And this for much what we saw, is another try where we managed to face the boss. This is always with bloodlust. The starts. We try to nuke as fast as possible. Also the Dark Young, the melee, in order to don't have it bothering us for the first round of ads, in order to spare some healing and to help to be more focused on DPS the tentacles, because as I said before, you really need to interrupt those. I was using the Felguard stance of the time. Uh, Simple, I have to say. We After 2 tries, we know we pretty much all understand what we need to do in phase one. It's not that much problematic, just the number that are a bit higher. But for what I saw, I really have much bigger hopes for Kahoot than for Xavius. I find it more enjoyable, maybe even be less of a joke as it was like Xavius in Emerald Nightmare, and probably Uldir will be a better rate than than Emerald Nightmare for the boss they've tested. So those is the most difficult one, because you will summon a Dark Young, you will have this another white tentacle. So you need to be sure to survive this. And then, but if you're then like you can see, we was able to empower the matrix to 100%. We started to nuke out every ass in the room. It will come out cool. Be careful, don't start DPS at that moment, because you still have his his buff that allows him to heal 5% every 0.5 second. So you need to wait as really get out. And then the fight, as I said, is simpler. He does this AoE wave that plays damage on everyone, and the matrix will remove it. So really intensive healing fight, because I said for damage is not much problem, because you will have to empower the matrix, and by doing so you basically don't need to keep up your DPS cooldown from just to use it to burst the boss quickly. The only problem is the third phase, it will basically destroy the matrix, so you will have no longer to use it. But probably this is where you will lose bloodlust at the end. So guys, thank